Hello and welcome to News Central Now. I am Adebola Adeduba. The headlines. Court of Appeal reserves judgment in Rivers Assembly suit. Troops snap suspected terrorists, mastermind of Taraba attacks. Reporters Without Borders raise alarm over press suppression in Niger Republic. And details shortly. The Court of Appeal in Abuja has reserved judgment in the appeal filed by a former Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Martin Amawule, and 24 others against the Speaker, Victor Okojumbo, and 5 others. The appellate court adjourned after the parties in the suit adopted all their briefs in the matter. At the proceeding that was conducted virtually on Thursday, Amawule and others are asking the court to stay the execution of a high court judgment which saw them out of office and further proceedings in the suit, and that whatever decision Jumbo has taken while in office should be set aside. The appellants are also asking for an accelerated hearing in the matter while contending that the order made by the trial court was without jurisdiction. In their response, the respondents pray the court to dismiss the appeal for lacking in merit because the records of the appeal transmitted were incompetent. After listening to the submission of the lawyers in the appeal, the 3-man panel led by Justice Jimmy Olukayode Bada reserved the date for judgment to be communicated to parties in the suit. And to talk about this in details, I'm joined by Professor Richard Wokocha, Associate Professor, Public Law, Rivers State University. Good afternoon. Glad to have you join me.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon, Nigerians.
Let me kick off by asking you what your impression is on the crisis rocking the Rivers State House of Assembly.
First, the crisis is needless, absolutely needless. In every organized society, there are rules by which people assess the public space and come out. So I think it's absolutely unnecessary. If persons have been elected and sworn into office, they have a term, the term ends and they go. And as for the House of Assembly, the rules are clear. The Constitution provides for the do's and don'ts and what constitutes vacation. So if you have taken the step that constitutes vacation, you are out. At the moment, I think the position is the way it should be. Since Section 109 has been done, subsection 2 has been completed, which is declaring those seats vacant. Anybody who has any issue with those developments will approach the court. And if the court is satisfied that your case is different from what is contained in the Constitution, then it can restore you. But until then, you are out.
In the light of this issue, we have seen, breakdown, of law and order in the state. In fact, 3 persons were reported dead, in the state, killed in the state. APC is calling for a declaration of state of emergency in Rivers State. Do you think that should be done? And if so, what shape or manner should a state of emergency, in Rivers State, constitute?
I think that the call for state of emergency is one that is laughable. What are you calling for state of emergency for? That some people have, set themselves against the law and they set themselves against the Constitution. Why do we have the security apparatus? Why does the state have the coercive powers? You bring them under the law. Take necessary steps to bring those people who are out of the law under the law. That is what you do when there is a misconduct or when there is misbehavior by persons who have considered themselves into outlaws. Not declaration of state of emergency. State of emergency for what? There is no basis for that call. Absolutely no basis.
How would you assess the decision of the court declaring the seats of Amawule and 24 other lawmakers vacant in Rivers State?
It's absolutely correct. If you read the Section 109, subsection 1G of the Constitution, it says if you leave the party that sponsored you to the House, members are on the seats in the name of their parties. That if you leave that party and become a member of another party, and I should add, even if you do not become a member of another party, because there is no independent candidacy under Nigerian law, and so you have no independent seats in the House. The moment you leave the party that sponsored you to that position, you are out. All that the Constitution requires is that the rest of the House, without your participation, should meet, acknowledge that fact, and make the necessary declaration, which is declaring your seat vacant, in order for INEC to be able to act and give your constituency the opportunity to replace you in the House. If at the end of the day, judgment is likely to be consistent with what the order that has been made is. It can only be different if the situations were different, but it's not.
Well, I hear you when you say, according to the Constitution, these seats are vacant, but then some persons say, the governor himself, contravened the Constitution by inaugurating the caretaker committee. What's your response to that?
The Constitution guarantees system of administration by democratically elected officers at the local government level. Now, that's correct. But in every law, because the Constitution puts in the hands of the state the making of the laws and conditions on which local government will function. In every state in Nigeria, the laws on local government contain provision for caretaker committee in the event that tenure ends without a government being sworn in, a new government being sworn in. That provision is still there. And so, yes, the Supreme Court has said repeatedly that that is wrong. All the states need to amend their laws and remove that provision. But as we speak, it is still there. The last administration governed Rivers State for almost 3 years with caretaker committee. The Supreme Court judgments have been on for more than 10 years before that time. But they did. They governed Rivers State for close to 3 years using caretaker committee. It's not expunged yet from the law. So it is wrong. Whoever uses it, you use it at your peril because somebody can contest it and the courts will agree with the person that it's unconstitutional. But it is the same thing with tenure elongation. The Constitution does not also permit the House of Assembly to impose leadership on the people. It says the people should elect their leader. That's why it says system of local government by democratically elected government is guaranteed. So yes, it's still in the law, but that law has been declared wrong and unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. But that law has not been amended.
Now, what do you think would be a lasting solution to the crisis rocking Rivers State? This has been ongoing for a while. It seems as though if one issue is ending, another one springs up. What would be a lasting solution to the political tension bedeviling Rivers State?
Please follow the law. There is a reason why the law is made to govern the public space. The Constitution has only one business, and that is prescribing how the organized society of Nigeria as a sovereign nation should be governed. Follow the law. If we follow the law, we won't have this situation. Everybody in this situation is either on the side of the law or outside the law. If we stand on the law, it has provided to cover every situation and everybody. So I think we should continue with the position of the law. Elections should be organized for local governments, for constituencies, to refill their spaces in the House of Assembly. As for local government, I'm sure that has been taken care of because from all practical points, the local government secretaries are active now and the new persons appointed into them have resumed work. So let's be guided by the law. That's why we have the Constitution. No nation works outside this law. If you do, you will have the kind of crisis we are having. And then finally, we should also be careful with the kind of people we put into public trust. That place is sacred, the public space. It's a very sacred space. And we should put only reasonable people there. You put people who are unworthy, you have the kind of change we are having today. They want to finish and take the office home. And that is unconstitutional, illegal, and wrong. It cannot work anywhere in the world.
You talked about local government. Some persons are calling that the governor of the state, and that's Fubara, should instead conduct local government election. What's your reaction to that?
Definitely, it's a constitutional responsibility. The state must conduct local government election. But if it has not been conducted, you cannot say the local government should not function. As I have said, the law provides for him to do something that he has done now. That thing has been pronounced by the courts in the past. In the case of other cases arising from other states, it has been pronounced to be a wrong approach to the constitutional governance of local government. But recall that even under the last administration, those who went to court about 9 years ago, the case is still pending at the Supreme Court in the case of Rivers State. So we need to amend the laws and ensure that the proper thing is done. And I'm sure if we act properly, we won't have these situations where elections are not held at the time they should be held.
Well, indeed, the rule of law should apply to every one of us for us to move forward in this country, Nigeria. Well, thank you so much for your time on the news, Professor Richard Wokocha. Thank you once again.
It's a great pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And staying in Rivers State, Governor Siminalayi Fubara has announced that 23 local government councils will operate from alternative secretariat in response to the escalating political crisis in Rivers State. This decision follows the police sealing off the council offices on Tuesday. Speaking in Port Harcourt on Wednesday, after swearing in the 23 local government caretaker committee chairmen, Governor Fubara assured that the council could function from any location. The statement came as police barred the newly inaugurated caretaker chairmen from accessing their offices across 23 local government headquarters. The secretariats were secured with police patrol vans and armed officers as the State Police Command moved to prevent further bloodshed and maintain law and order. This action by the police came amid ongoing tensions between Governor Fubara and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike, who have been locked in a bitter dispute since late last year. And let's also tell you that the Edo State House of Assembly has given a scorecard of its performance in the last 1 year. The Speaker of the Assembly, while reeling out achievements recorded by the state lawmakers, say despite challenges, much has been achieved in passing bills that helped executive of the state tackle environment and security challenges, among others.
In the 1 year under review, the 8th Assembly has had a few challenges, but with the bond of friendship, comradeship, understanding, and unity, the House stands tall. The House also passed a resolution calling on Edo State government to address the issues of the ecological problem, stagnant flood water and bad roads in Ebotubu community in a local government area. The resolution is calling on the Commissioner of Police, Edo State Command, and other security agencies in Edo State to restructure the current security formation, comb the bushes, take preemptive steps to allow farmers carry out their farming activities, secure lives and properties to suit the present security challenges in Edo State.
You're live with News Central TV. Let's take a short break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Nigeria's federal government says that it has set up a mobile court to tackle cases of gender and sexual-based violence. Nigeria's Minister of Women Affairs spoke to newsmen in Abuja, saying this will speed up access and dispensation of justice for victims of the country. She also signed an agreement with medical facilities, hotel owners and school owners in the nation's capital, Abuja, to protect the rights and safety of women and children in the country.
She goes to school, she drops out. One thing to the other. But the child keeps returning back to you, either ending up killing you or dying off. This is the phone number that will be called in case any hospital defaults.
And to unpack this, I'm joined by our correspondent, Joshua Imarai, who covered the story. Joshua, good afternoon. Glad to have you join me. Okay, just give us highlights from the speech made by the minister.
Well, the saying justice delayed is justice denied. It was what the Minister of Women Affairs was capitalizing on when she said that the ministry is setting up new initiative to tackle the issue of justice denial in cases against sexual and gender-based violence. So the ministry is setting up mobile courts across the country in the federation in order to tackle the issue of delay in proceedings, delay in arraignment of sexual and gender-based offenders. And according to the minister, she said that plans are underway to kickstart the movement to ensure that these mobile courts are established in several states. From the statement of the minister, she said that the ministry is liaising with state governments to satellite gray areas that are prone to sexual and gender-based violence, and they will consult with the Ministry of Justice in this case, in this state, and establish mobile courts to address this issue.
Now, following the minister's remark, what would you say were the notable feedback given by the audience?
Well, the gathering was the gathering is comprised of hoteliers, hospital directors, as well as school proprietors and the rest. The initiative received an overwhelming welcome, but along the line, some people factored in some bottlenecks and bureaucracies and red tapeisms that this new initiative might meet. But however, the minister says she's not deterred, and she's expressing an unwavering unwavering commitment to ensure that the issue of this mobile court comes into fruition.
Now, talking about the mobile courts, did she give any illustration or, modality as to how these mobile courts will operate?
According to the minister, she said they are making plans to consult with state governments to establish this mobile court. And before these mobile courts are established, they will consult with them and identify grey areas where sexual and gender-based violence are more rampant. And after this assessment is made, they will ensure that proceedings to ensure that the equipment, the manpower, the human resources to achieve the mobile courts are put in place. Then moving forward, there will be new standard operating procedures that as long as this mobile courts are established, there will be new procedures in hospitals, in schools, in hotels, displaying signs of warning citizens and onlookers of if these cases may arise, that there might be repercussions. And this signage too, we carry the numbers of the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs to enable whistleblowing. So she even emphasized that in the cases where cases are reported, whistleblowers will be compensated, and this compensation will be reimbursed back to the ministry from the penalties of these offenders, sexual offenders particularly.
Well, thank you so much for your correspondence, Joshua Imarai, who is live in Abuja. Thank you once again.
It's a pleasure, Adebola.
Troops of 6th Brigade Nigerian Army, Sector 3, Operation Wellstroke, have apprehended a suspected terrorist mastermind responsible for the killing of 5 persons at Mararaban, Azagawa village, Bali local government area of Taraba State. Following credible intelligence, the troops arrested the suspected ringleader, 39-year-old Hassan Ibrahim, also known as Godu. The arrest followed the June 16, 2024 attack that led to 5 people's death and injury to many others. The acting assistant director, 6th Brigade Army Public Relations Officer, Oni Olubunde, said this in a press statement detailing the operation that led to the arrest. According to him, troops of 20 Model Battalion Subsector 3A, Operation Wellstroke, stationed as the forward operating base in Bali local government area, launched a special operation to apprehend those behind the attack. The Nigerian National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, says it is adopting drug use prevention as a core tool to fight the increasing cases of drug abuse in the country. And this was as the NDLEA unveiled its program of events for the 2024 International Day Against Drugs and Illicit Trafficking, where it also adds that the agency has achieved much success in the war against illicit drug trafficking. Our correspondent, Amadine Uyi, tells us more.
Drug abuse in Nigeria has been on the increase and has been recorded to pose a menace for the nation's youthful population.
We know from the 2019 National Drug Use Survey for Nigeria that the youth prevalence of drug use in Nigeria is considerably high. The survey estimated drug use prevalence in Nigeria at 14.4%, which was at the time 3 times above the global prevalence of drug use. It indicated that the drug use was most prevalent among young people between the age of 25 and 39 years.
As Nigeria prepares to mark the 2024 International Day Against Drugs and Illicit Trafficking, experts say worrisome projection indicates this will rise in the next few years, thus the need to act quickly.
Further projections show that by 2030, there will be a 40% increase in the use of drugs in Africa based on the population of young people. And this is extremely concerning if we consider that 2030 is only 6 years away.
The NDLEA says that efforts are being put in place to reduce the menace of drug abuse in the country, thus the adoption of preventive efforts by the agency.
Prevention is an important aspect of effort to curb the menace of abuse of illicit drugs in society. At NDLEA, prevention as ably anchored in our war against drug abuse social advocacy program is a priority area for us. Within our modest means and with the support of the federal government, our various stakeholders, We have invested in prevention by various means over the past 3 years.
The agency also adds that other measures are being put in place. Thus, its success in recording tremendous results and curbing illicit drug trafficking.
Our offensive action against drug cartels and traffickers, launched in January 2021, has to date continued to yield the desired result with the arrest and prosecutions of several barons. As you are all aware, 2 serial traffickers got life imprisonment in court in April. Our prosecution efforts have continued to achieve successes in courts, given the painstaking investigations and diligence in the prosecution of cases.
The NDLEA also announced the program of events for the 2024 International Day Against Drugs and Illicit Trafficking, which commences on June the 21st. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention announced on Wednesday that it might declare an emergency due to the escalating cholera outbreak in the country. And speaking in Lagos, NCDC Director General Dr. Jide Idris stated that the center is closely monitoring the situation and may declare an emergency if the outbreak exceeds manageable levels. His comments were made during the Adetokunbo Alakija Memorial Travel Medicine Lecture at the Civic Center in Victoria Island, organized by Nigerian Society of Travel Medicine. According to the NCDC's latest report, from January 1st to June 11th, 2024, Nigeria has recorded over 1,141 suspected cholera cases, more than 65 confirmed cases, resulting in over 30 deaths across 96 local government areas in 30 states. In Nigeria, the term feminism continues to stir debate and misunderstanding among the populace. It has prompted a closer examination of what feminism truly represents in Nigerian society. Our correspondent Chidima Ona tells us more.
Feminism, at its core, advocates for gender equality and the empowerment of women in all spheres of life. In Nigeria, it has often been equated with notions of male bashing, radicalism, and a threat to traditional values. These misconceptions have hindered broader acceptance and support for feminist ideals.
The woman has one thing to do. She will, because her husband is saying no, even if it will benefit the family, the woman will have to submit to the what? To the husband's ideology, provided even if the husband is sincerely wrong. But because of the culture has made it, woman belongs to the kitchen, woman, the man is the head. It is true the man is the head, only when he submits to his wife as well.
They are trying to tell me that you don't need to be under a man's roof. You can be an individual yourself. Whatever you need man for, is it not for children? Is it not just to give birth? But now that I'm hearing the meaning of feminism now, I think the media is doing a wrong news about that.
If I have a male child and I have a girl child, I should treat them equally. In those days, you see someone say, oh, you don't need to spend much on a girl child, which is wrong, because you don't know what the future lies. So we treat them equally, you balance it.
While some cultural norms provide stability in some aspects, they sometimes perpetuate inequalities. Moreover, the media, which plays a pivotal role in shaping public opinion, often misrepresents its goals by contributing to further confusion about a more accurate understanding of feminism.
I think it majorly has to do with the media portrayal of feminism, especially in the social space, that's just social media, especially Twitter and the rest. So feminism these days is now a thing of hating men, being vowed towards men. The portrayal of feminism on social media, it comes from a place of trauma that has not been dealt with. You know, people are not healed. So it's a one-side story. It's not coming from a place of logical reasoning and thinking. Because if we are to think about it, everybody should be feminist.
As strides are being made towards achieving greater gender equality in Nigeria, efforts that align with a more inclusive society for all should be taken to achieve lasting impact.
Coming up, Kenyan police fire tear gas at protesters demonstrating against tax hike. We have details shortly. Join us again. And still in the West, the Press Freedom Organization Reporters Without Borders, RSF, has expressed serious concerns about the potential misuse of a newly revised law in Niger, which bans the dissemination of information that could disturb public order. Originally adopted in 2019, this law also prohibits the digital spread of defamatory material and insults. Since 2022, these offenses have been punishable only by fines. However, earlier this month, the head of Niger's military regime, General Abdurrahman Chiani, ordered the reinstatement of prison terms for these offenses, prompting RSF to issue a warning on Wednesday. In a statement, RSF highlighted the danger of this legislation being used abusively to imprison and censor journalists who work online. The organization urged for the law to be scrapped, noting that under its provision, individuals could be punished for distributing information likely to disturb public order, even if the information is true. President Umaru Sissoco Embalo of Guinea Bissau has ordered the capital closure of the border with Senegal following deadly clashes between two Muslim communities. The violence erupted on Monday during Eid celebrations in the holy town of Medina, located just a few kilometers from Guinea Bissau. The clashes, rooted in long-standing tensions over control of the local main mosque, resulted in the death of one person and left around 20 others injured, according to the Interior Ministry. Medina Gonals, situated 500 kilometers from Dakar, is known for hosting an annual 10-day pilgrimage that attracts thousands of Muslims. The ongoing conflict between the two communities has a history of fatalities and accusations from both sides about inciting tensions. Senegal and Guinea-Bissau share a 300-kilometer border, and this partial closure aims to prevent further violence and maintain order in the region. In the south of the continent, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has begun a new era following his swearing in for a second full term in office. He remains in office even though his party, the African National Congress, failed to secure a majority in parliament during last month's election. Ramaphosa will serve in a deal with his long-time rival, Democratic Alliance, and other parties that form a coalition government. South African dignitaries and African heads of state were invited to the inauguration, which included the leaders of Nigeria, Angola, Zimbabwe, Congo-Brazzaville, Eswatini, and others. Our correspondent, Bongani Sisiba, has details.
Marks a new beginning for South Africa, a chance to renew, rebuild, and rediscover. Together, South Africans can make a brighter future.
In a moment of great significance, leaders, dignitaries, and South Africans alike coming together to witness history being made. For this man, so begins a new chapter. With every step he takes, every echo of the national anthem, each sound of gun salute, all resonate through his ears, a reminder of the weight of responsibility that rests on his shoulders. The time has come for President Cyril Ramaphosa to take his oath, to reaffirm his commitment to serving the people of South Africa. With every word spoken, he seals his bond with the nation, pledging to uphold the Constitution and serve the people with dedication and loyalty.
It is a moment when we must choose to either move forward together or risk losing all we have built. In this moment, we must choose to move forward, to close the distances between South Africans and to build a more equal society, to translate the promise of our Constitution and the vision of the Freedom Charter into a reality for all.
He also has a message for his critics.
Those who seek to stand in our way, those who seek to inflame tensions in our country, will not succeed because South Africans are resolute. Those who seek to undermine our institutions will fail, because democracy lives in the hearts of all our people and shall never be dislodged.
However, South Africans are particularly restless. They demand that their voices be heard. They want jobs, education, healthcare. They want their future secured.
We need change. We ask for change. We ask that the president intervenes in the basic of education and sees the needs of children in schools.
The most important thing, unemployment, which is high. That is why we have a high rate of crime in South Africa. And if we can improve our education system so that all the learners can go to school, and we have not only the theoretical part, but the practical part of it.
And a call for unity.
Those parties are khonanga ukuthi isifinyelelana, it's as if they don't want to impumelelo, but I think if singabambana la South Africa senze into eyi-one, sibambane sibe into eyi-one, I think we'll move together for the better future.
At the Union Buildings in Pretoria, for News Central, Bongani Siziba.
Russia opens a treason trial against dual U.S. Russian citizens for donating around $50 to a pro-Ukrainian charity in the Russian city of Yekaterinburg. Kasiana Karenina, a 32-year-old ballerina living and working in Los Angeles, was detained by police in Yekaterinburg in late January while on a trip to visit her family in Russia. Prosecutors accuse her of proactively transferring funds to a Ukrainian organization which the Ukrainian armed forces subsequently used to purchase tactical medicine, equipment, weapons and ammunition, and likely to face life in prison if found guilty. U.S. media reported that she donated around $50 to a New York-based Ukrainian charity in February 2022, shortly after Russia launched its military offensive. A batch of toxic illegal alcohol in India has killed at least 34 people, with more than 100 others rushed to hospital, as hundreds of people die every year in India from cheap alcohol made in backstreet distilleries. Chief Minister M.K. Stalin said the press trust of India news agency reported that the deadly mix of locally brewed Arak drink was laced with poisonous methanol, and arrests have been made over the deaths, and warned such crimes ruin society and will be suppressed with an iron fist. To increase its potency, the liquor is often spiked with methanol, which can cause blindness, liver damage, and death, as selling and consuming liquor is prohibited in several other parts of India. Survivors had to wait 40 years for perpetrators of the assault to be convicted in the Peruvian court. 10 military officers were sentenced in Lima by the First National Superior Criminal Court to up to 12 years in prison for sexually assaulting 9 rural women and girls in 1984. And this happened where the army was fighting the Moais Shining Path guerrillas and set up a base near the Andean towns of Manta and Vilca in one of Peru's poorest regions.
Martín Sierra Gabriel, con DNI número 45272333, en calidad de autor directo del delito contra la libertad y violación sexual en agravio de las personas iniciales VGA, ilícito previsto y sancionado en el artículo 170 del Código Penal, modificado por la Ley 26-293, considerado como un delito de lesa humanidad.
Muy poco, 20 años de lucha hemos tenido, pero no estoy contento, no estoy conforme con 10 años de sentencia.
Ninguno se han presentado los que estaban denunciados. Son cobardes.
Ella ha sido tan víctima como nosotros. Ha sido humillada. Marilia Araujo ya no está en esta tierra.
Mexico's president-elect Claudia Sheinbaum has promised tougher measures to fight extortion during an event with business leaders in the capital, Mexico City. Powerful cartels control swathes of Mexico and are involved not just in drug trafficking, but other crimes including people smuggling, extortion, and fuel theft. She said extortion must have a greater sanction. It must be categorized as serious crime and to be prosecuted even in the absence of an official complaint because it's always difficult for victims to report it.
Tengo la convicción de que vamos a disminuir la inseguridad. El presidente ha cambiado la tendencia, que es muy importante. A veces se suma los delitos, pero cambiar la tendencia es fundamental y a veces es lo más difícil. Y el otro tema es la extorsión, que es una de las propuestas que envió ya el presidente. La extorsión tiene que tener mayor sanción, tiene que ser delito grave. Inclusive nosotros queremos ampliarlo a que sea perseguido por oficio. Porque la denuncia de extorsión siempre es difícil de quien recibe extorsión. Hay que dar las...
India's Financial Intelligence Unit has imposed a fine of $2.25 million on Binance, the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, for operating in the country without registering with the agency as required by law. The FIU made this disclosure in a statement obtained by newsmen on Thursday. The Indian authority said Binance, as a registered entity in the country, violated 3 sections of the country's Prevention of Money Laundering Act for 2002. In Nigeria, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission accused Binance of laundering over $35 million through its platform. The exchange is also facing a separate case of tax evasion filed by Federal Inland Revenue Service. Binance had registered with the FIU in May, seeking to resume operations in India after being issued a show cause notice by the financial watchdog in December 2023. The delay in government payment of accrued pension rights to retired employees since 2022 is putting pressure on Nigerian pension managers. The last payment in 2022 only covered 4 months, leaving retirees without access to their full benefit. And this has caused frustration among PFAs who cannot calculate payment without these contributions. The issue is compounded by employers who deduct pension funds from employees' salaries but fail to remit them, as well as individuals who are not taking advantage of voluntary contributions or are unaware of the option. Tunji Andrews, CEO of Awaba, shared his insight on this issue on the Business Edge show. Have a listen.
So think about pensions as especially mandatory pensions from the perspective of a joint account where 2 people invest in, but only 1 person can withdraw. So in the 2 people who can put money into it, it is supposedly you who is the employee and then your employer. So you jointly put money into that account. And on the withdrawal, it is only the employee that can withdraw money from that account. So for a joint account, for whatever purpose you have created it, if you go to the bank and you believe that you have 1 billion in the account and you issue a check and you're trying to withdraw 1 billion, but it's only 500 naira that is in the account, the check will bounce.
You're watching News Central now. Let's take a short break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying tuned. In sports, the poor performance of Nigeria's Super Eagles in match day 3 and 4 of the World Cup qualifier has reflected in the latest FIFA rankings. The 3-time African champions failed to secure a win in both games. The ranking for the month of May was released on Thursday morning, and Super Eagles dropped 8 places to place 38th in the world. Apart from dropping from the world ranking, they also slipped to the 5th position in the continent. World champions Argentina remained on top of the ranking, with France in 2nd position and England also dropping a spot. Serbia have threatened to pull out of Euro 2024 over chanting between fans at the match between Croatia and Albania on Wednesday. Fans could be heard chanting about the killing of Serbians during the 2-2 draw in the Group B match. The General Secretary of the Football Association of Serbia, Jovan Sobatovic, has called for the strongest sanctions to be taken. He told the Serbian state-owned broadcaster RTS what happened is scandalous and we will ask governing body UEFA for sanctions, even if it means not continuing the competition. Serbia in Group C and began the tournament with a 1-0 defeat by England on Sunday. Sadiku made a nationalist double-handed ego gesture towards Serbia fans during the game against England. The gesture mimics the eagle on Albania's national flag, which can inflame tensions between Serbian nationalists and ethnic Albanians who make up the vast majority of Kosovo's population. Serbia were fined £12,250 after fans threw objects during the England match. Serbia and Albania were also fined as fans from both countries displayed banners of nationalist maps external in their opening matches. Serbia's next match against Slovenia is on Thursday. France striker and captain Kylian Mbappe is undergoing individual training with a fitness trainer, but is not taking part in the group session with his teammate 2 days after fracturing his nose in Les Bleus' opening Euro 2024 match against Australia. The 25-year-old forward was seen wearing protective bandage during the session. Initially training alone, his participation in France's upcoming match against Netherlands in Leipzig on Friday remains uncertain. The French Football Federation announced that an update on Mbappe's fitness will be provided later on Wednesday. Mbappe sustained the injury after colliding with Australian defender Kevin Danso's shoulder during an aerial challenge. Following the incident, he was substituted and the break was confirmed at a hospital in Dollersdorf before he rejoined his teammate at the training camp. To aid his recovery, the FFF stated that a protective mask would be made for Mbappe. The forward received a booking during the Austria match for returning to the pitch and sitting down, which caused a temporary halt in the game. And that's all on the news. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen and follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adeduba.